The Bible is a living word that reads us as we read it. It's a person, a voice that proves that time is not linear, as one sentence can confirm the past, guide the present, and declare the future. You are here. I am here. He is here. We are here right now. In the tomorrow of yesterday and in the yesterday of tomorrow, I thank you for joining today. So we're back. Thank you so much for joining once again. In our last episode, Jacob and his family now made it back to Bethel, and Jacob's a new man. He's got a new name. He's now Israel. God appeared again to Jacob to remind him of the promise and just to remind him of the blessings that were coming to him. And so at this point, Jacob and his crew, they moved on from Bethel toward this place called Bethlehem. And the love of Jacob's life, Rachel, went into labor. So praise God, because it was a miracle that she was able to have Joseph. And so now she is in labor after being pregnant again. And she has this baby boy, and Jacob or Israel ended up naming him Benjamin. And you can get into the story and what his first name was and all of that. But it was a rough birthing process for Rachel. And so Benjamin survived, Rachel did not. And so she died after having her son. Jacob mourned. He mourned for a while, and then he moved on. The word mentions this that Reuben, which is Jacob's firstborn son with Leah, actually was just like kicking it, and he caught eyes for one of his brothers or some of his brothers' mother. And so Reuben's checking out Bilhah, and he's like, all right, you look kind of good over there. And he he ends up hooking up with Bilhah, and that is just mad disrespectful to his father because he laid with his father's wife. And though it wasn't his mother, that was mad disrespectful, and it will cost him later on. So Jacob finally made it back to his dad, and then Isaac at 180 years old took his last breath. And Esau and Jacob, they buried Isaac. And Jacob settles in Canaan again, where his pops lived. And so the story kind of shifts now because we're going to start learning more about Joseph, which is Jacob's 11th son, right before Benjamin. And so Joseph was actually very openly Jacob's favorite son. Like Jacob made no secret about. And excuse me, I understand that Jacob got a new name, Israel. And you know that. We know that. But I'm still going to refer to him as Jacob. So just bear with me. So if I may interchange here every once in a while, but I'm gonna be calling him Jacob. So Jacob favored Joseph, and he wasn't secretive about it. Okay. His sons knew Joseph was the favorite. And so much so that Jacob made Joseph this like really nice robe. It was like fancy. And when Joseph was 17, it was is kind of where we pick up in the story when his pops made him this really nice robe, and his father loved him, but his brothers like hated him. They hated him and they hated on him. And um it didn't help because Joseph, he was a dreamer, and he didn't really read the room too well, because I know he knew that his brothers didn't like him, but he would have these dreams, and he would share the dreams with his brothers, knowing that it was annoying to them. And so he had one dream that they were gathering these bundles of wheat, and his bundle like stood up, and their bundles bowed to his bundle. And he shared the dream with his brothers, and they like, yo, what you saying? You think you better than us? Like you acting like you gonna be our king or whatever. And then he had another dream, and in the other dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing to him. And so when he shared that dream, like even his pops was like, "Son, like you really getting out of hand now with all that. You saying that me and your mom's like we gonna bow to you?" And even though Jacob kind of got on to him in the back of his mind, he's wondering. He's like, "Okay, there's eh, that's not for nothing, you know." And so anyway, time passed, and Jacob sent Joseph to go check on his brothers because Joseph was like the little snitch. So he would go see his brother getting into stuff and he would run back and tell his pops. And so in this situation, like Jacob sends him, he's like, "Yo, go see what's up with your brothers." And so Joseph goes and he goes to look for his brothers. And first he couldn't find them. And then he rolled up on them after getting a little bit of direction. And when the brothers saw him coming, they're like, "Oh, check it out. There go little dreamer boy right there." Like, and they plotted before he even made it to them, like, let's take him out. You know, like we could end his life right here and just say that he was eaten by an animal or whatever, and then we don't have to deal with him no more. And so that was the plan. And Reuben, the oldest, was like, "Nah, like we ain't gotta do all that. Like, we don't wanna have blood on our hands or nothing. Like, let's just throw him in this pit over here and then just let him, like, naturally die, and then we don't have to deal with, like, the guilt of having killed our own brother," you know? And so in the back of his mind, though, Reuben was secretly plotting to, like, roll up on him after the brothers had left and rescue him. So in the meantime, they're just, like, eating, just enjoying a meal, and Reuben, I don't know where he was, but he wasn't there for this part of the story because he kinda missed out on the plan. But while they're eating, they see these Ishmaelite traders. Y'all remember Ishmael? Abraham's son by Hagar, the side chick, right? So that's Ishmael. So these are his descendants, right? So the Ishmaelites, they were some traders. And so they saw these traders in the back, and Judah spoke up and he's like, "Yo, rather than just letting him die, why don't we just sell him? And that way we can make a little grip off of him, you know, and we have a little spending change." And they like, "I like the way you thinking over there." And so they ended up getting Joseph out of the pit and actually selling him to these traders. And the traders took him to Egypt, okay? And they sold him to this dude named Potiphar, who was the palace guard of the king of Egypt, which was Pharaoh, right? And so the brothers took Joseph and sold him. Okay, sold him off. Meanwhile, Reuben didn't know, so he walking around looking for Joseph, and he's distraught because he's like, "Man, I don't even know what happened to him, man. And like, I should have just spoke up, and and because he didn't know that the other brothers sold him." And so, um, what they did, the brothers, they took this really nice robe that Jacob made for Joseph, just killed a goat, an innocent little animal that was minding his business. And they dipped this robe in the blood because they needed a cover story, right? So they dipped the robe in the blood to make it look like he was eaten by an animal rather than having to go home and explain to their pops that they sold him, right? And when I read that, it made me think about Adam and Eve and when they sinned back in Genesis chapter 3. And they realized when their eyes were open and they realized they were naked, remember? And God was, he was walking out in the breeze of the night. He's looking for him like, "Yo, Adam, where are you?" And Adam's hiding. And he's like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I don't really want you to see me because I'm naked." And he said, "Well, who told you that you're naked?" And so anyway, not getting too deep into that, when Adam and Eve took the bait, right? And sin was introduced into the world and into humanity rather. They realized that they were naked, and it said that God made them clothes out of animal skin. And it's not just because he had animal skin just laying around, right? Like an innocent animal that was just minding its own business died in order to cover up their sin, in the same way that Joseph's brothers killed this innocent animal, and they had this innocent animal had to die in order for them to be able to cover their sin. And it just made me think it's like this foreshadowing of just the gift of Jesus giving his life and dying so that he could cover our sin as well. And so I'm so grateful for his his covering and for his grace. But anyhow, we will stop there because the story is going to take another quick turn here. And I'm excited to share the next episode if God will bless me with the opportunity to do so again. Until next time, bye for now.